Welcome, dear students. I am Dr. Kiran Shende from All India Shri Shivaji Memorial Society's College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, Pune, Maharashtra. Welcome all of you all for my third video on Principles of Management. We are going to begin with chapter number 2, part 1 of Principles of Management. Let us now begin with chapter number 2, part 1, that is Management Thoughts, a journey since its inception. The objectives of today's class is to understand history of management thoughts, to learn Mr. Fredrick Taylor's scientific management theory. Let us now begin with the history of management thoughts. During the period of Industrial Revolution, which has happened in 1929 to 1930, mass production of daily necessities was the main aim. The market opened at various places near to the customers, and the flow of goods from its place of origin to some other location has begun. This competition gave rise to efficiency and effectiveness. Management thinkers that's when have started thinking and studying the subject carefully by observing what was happening in the industry. The government and various institutions started formulating theories and principles to increase their productivity and production. The industry borrowed concepts like functional coordination, office administration, inventory control, line and staff principle, delegation of authority and responsibilities. Functional coordination, wherein the coordination has started begun. There were office administration which has came into existence, followed by there was inventories which was taken into consideration. Line and staff principles was taken seriously. The delegation of authorities was the main segment. Many theories were evolved on the layout of workplace, uninterrupted workflow of production, plants, etc. They laid down the process for all and was more systematic in their approach towards work. The theories were also the people who contributed in this era was Mr. Junior James Watt, Mr. Charles and Mr. Walton. There were few contributors towards the management theories. Taking all of you all a little further, when it has a gentleman called as F.W.Taylor has came into existence. He was known as the father of scientific management. He was an engineer and a consultant. When he began his career, he observed and reported the inefficient work practices which were followed in the production industry, like haphazard training to the workers, managers working side by side with workers and ignoring the basic managerial functions. Tasks was unscientifically performed. There was a lot of kiosks used to happen. No training to workers. Managers and workers are working together. There was no scientific approach was involved. So he has observed all these and he has developed his theory. What his theory says, he believed in a new approach to management, a revolution on both the part of labor and management, where they can work in harmony and is beneficial for the employer as well as the employee. So he believed in having a completely new approach to the management. Mr. Taylor saw that workers had little or no reason to produce more. More wage systems of that time was based on attendance and positions. So he saw there was a big gap between the production and there was a big gap between the management. Mr. Taylor do believed in a piece rate system would work if the workers believe that the standard has been fairly set and the management would stick to the standards. So he has believed in a piece rate system, that is performance based incentives, to have more productivity. So the better you perform, the better you get the incentives. So that is how he has had a very new approach to this scientific management. Mr. Taylor wanted to use a scientific and empirical method rather than the traditional and customs for setting work standards. Taylor's effort became true beginning of what would become known as scientific management, which is very much followed in today's modern management practices. Some fundamental principles of Mr. Taylor was he has replaced the rule of thumb work method with methods based on scientific study. The managers should develop a science of every job based on the rules of motion, standardized work tools, and proper working conditions. So he wanted to get rid of the thumb of rule method and have an overall scientific approach to whatever job you do. Secondly, scientifically select the workers, train the employees properly, develop each worker rather than passively leaving them to learn by themselves, which is completely impossible because nobody learns by himself or herself. They have to be taught that. The managers should select workers with the best possible skills for a specific job. So he focused more upon selecting the worker correctly, training the worker properly, develop them so that they grow in their career paths, and most importantly, it's a manager's job to select the right person to a right job. So he stressed more upon that. The third principle of Mr. Taylor was cooperation of management and labor to ensure and accomplish of work in accordance with the scientific method. So he wanted to have the complete cooperation from the management to get the work done, because it is a two-way process from the management as well as from the employees. The managers should train these workers to do the job scientifically and to motivate them with piece work incentives. So it was the manager's job to keep on motivating the employees and keep on giving them good incentives so that they do or their work perform better in their jobs. Lastly, a more rational division of work responsibilities between managers and workers. Divide work nearly equally between the managers as well as the workers, so that the management apply the scientific method and principles to plan the work and the workers perform them. So he wanted to have a very clear-cut bifurcation between the managers and the workers. So managers are the thinkers who think, apply a scientific technique to it, pass it on to the workers, and the worker works accordingly to perform the task better. And that is how the concept of teamwork has gained its popularity, because it is everybody's contribution. It's a team. Taylor's scientific approach was, and this is very, very important, he stressed upon scientifically train the worker, introduce efficient ways of working, divide the work correctly between the managers and the workers so that everybody knows what task he or she has to perform. Lastly, connect the performance based incentives. So pay according to the output which is achieved. So that is what his scientific approach was. It was very clearly, he said, scientifically train the workers, train them correctly so that they perform their tasks well. Include efficient ways of how to generate more productivity, more production. Have a correct bifurcation between the managers and the employees, and always have the results based payment. So that is what Mr. Taylor's scientific approach was. The theory of Mr. Taylor concentrated more on productivity and productivity based wages. So his theory clearly says have productivity and give wages according to the productivity that will increase the business. He stressed on time and motion study and other techniques for measuring work. He was one of the main person who has developed this theory of time and motion, which was adopted by Ford Motor Company uh, to increase their production. Apart from this, in Taylor's work, there is also runs a strong humanistic theme. So he stressed upon human as the main factor in any of the production unit. Lastly, he had an idealistic notion that interests the worker, manager, owners should be harmonized. So he wanted to have a correct hierarchy between the top management, the middle management, and the low level management. Some benefits of Taylorism were: number one, most important, specialization; number two, accurate planning; timely delivery; standardized methods; better quality; lesser cost; minimum wages of material, time, and energy. Lastly, cordial relations between the management and worker. So these were few benefits of Taylorism, that is specialization. So you train a specific person depending upon his skills, give a lot the job, right person to the right job. He says have a correct planning for everything. Timely delivery is the most important factor, because if you are in a production line, your time is the most important factor in everything. Always have standardized methods of whatever work or job is performed. Always have try to achieve the bestest of the quality so that your end customers is satisfied. Always work on minimum wastage and lesser cost. There has to be minimum wastage of time, energy, and material. Most importantly, cordial relationship between the management and the employees. So that is what he has focused more upon. Hence, we have come to the end of today's session. Let us now quickly check your level of understanding by attempting a small quiz. Question number 1 is there in front of you. Who was known as the father of scientific management? So is it Mr. Taylor, is it Mr. Fowler, or is it Mr. Both? Industrial Revolution happened in which year? You can also appear for the full quiz in the below mentioned link, which is also present in the description box of my YouTube channel. So whenever you watch this video, give yourself a chance to attempt the quiz also, so that the concept becomes really clear to you. Before I take you to the next slide, let us have the solutions. The answer to question number 1 is F.W.Taylor. He was the father of scientific management. The solution for question number 2 is 1929 to 1930. So that was the period during which the Industrial Revolution has happened. These are the few references which I have used to make this video. Thank you very much, students, for patiently listening, and I'll surely see you back with part 2 of chapter number 2. Thank you very much for patiently listening. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.